It's the start of a new class of the leap, and what I tend to do is I actually do the same thing that I'm asking my class members to do. So essentially, in many of the live streams that I've got coming up, I'll essentially be kind of going through the leap and kind of finishing music using the systems of the leap. And in these live streams, essentially I'm just going to be doing that. And so, as probably most people will know, the first step of my production process and of the automatic music machine, because that's what I'm teaching in the leap, amongst other things, is the automatic music machine. So the first step is a splurge. So always forget to do that. Anyway, the first step is a splurge. So what I'm going to do now, and what the splurges that I'm doing at the moment is a preset splurge. And because I'm making the DFAM, which is just such a wonderful machine, it's literally one of my most favourite pieces of, just one of my favourite musical purchases ever. It really is. Because I'm making the DFAM an integral part of my kind of setup, and this week we're doing a preset splurge, which basically the rule of it is that you go with the first preset that you randomly find. And of course, with something like this, it doesn't really have presets because there's nowhere to save them, and it's all kind of 100% analog. So essentially, you get these cards with the, can you see that? With the DFAM with little dots. So you overlay it over there, and it's got little dots which it tells you where to put the knobs, right? And then so this one is called tubular bells. There's one called tribal drums. There's one called big bottom bass. There's one called electro thump. There's one called kick bass and snare, and then there are more in the actual manual. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use those as my presets for the DFAM, and basically start there. So basically I'm doing a preset splurge, which means it's kind of a random go with the first preset you find type idea. So I've started with this tubular bells one, and what I'm going to do is press, so I haven't got this connected in sync with the DAW at the moment, but we'll just see how this one sounds. I think I've given myself a bit of a mountain to climb with this one, to be honest, because I listened to it just before and I'm like, oh crikey, what am I going to do with that? So anyway, this will be a good demonstration of the splurge, so we'll see. So what I'm thinking, it's not playing there, is it? So what I'm thinking, because essentially with the rule, go with the first thing that you find, basically you've got to work with whatever comes up. Yeah, that's the only thing that's the thing that you got to do, rather than trying to find something that you like. Rather than thinking, how do I find blah blah blah, you go, how do I use what is already here? That's the kind of the idea, because this is kind of exercising a particular muscle that a lot of people don't seem to exercise at all in their creative process. So let's see. Are we synced up now? I'm just going to leave that running there like that and play some other stuff here. And the other rule that we're following is that 5 players, right? So now this multi-clock doesn't count. That hello, Michael. So this multi-clock doesn't count because this is just simply a thing which is allowing me to sync the DFAM with the DAW, right? So there's no music coming through here. I'll prove it to you just in case you think I'm cheating. This is what the multi-clock is playing. It's speaking robot language to my robot friend over here, the DFAM. So let's just turn that back to output 3. Okay, which is meaning that the DFAM is in sync with. Oh, first of all, chin. Okay, so I've got 5 players here. An 808, our friend the DFAM, Omnisphere, Piano, and Diva. And you know, kind of they're sort of the frequency ranges, although you know obviously it doesn't always work like that, it doesn't work out like that, which is absolutely fine. But basically, so at the moment this DFAM thing is probably in the high or the high mid, whereas I've got it in the bass position, but it really doesn't matter. I'm just going with whatever happens. Okay, so okay. I think let's start there, see what happens. Okay, no. There. Right. All right. Hello, Joel. Okay. Just want to check to see that that's on the front so that it catches it. I think it is. For once, I did not anticipate the beat. Yay! Now I think obviously this is crying out just for man, I've forgotten how to do that view. This is crying out for a boom boom boom, so let's just go with that. Okay. Dong, 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 dong. might as well put that on another track. Alright. Hey Malteser. I'm not sure if that's how... I'm sorry, apologise if I'm murdering the pronunciation of your name. Let's see. Ah, can you not hear the other instruments? That's weird. Oh, let me just check. That should be working okay. Let me just check if I've messed up something. Is that better? Let me know if that's better or not. It might be a mistake I made in the settings there. I think it should be going to... Let me just think about this. It should be going to the... Okay. That's weird. Now I should be hearing... Sorry about that. Fantastic. What am I doing? Now I've lost my thread. Oh yes, right, I was doing that. You'll notice, as usual, I'm trying to do the smallest amount of quantizing that I can, and it sort of still not distracting me by being utterly rubbish. So what I'm feeling like is I want to have this. Yeah, it might just be that the piano is very quiet. It's, if you're hearing the other things, then you will be hearing the piano. He says confidently. Sorry, not you will be hearing the piano, but it's just that the piano will be there. Can you hear that? What I should probably do is turn the... Yeah, it's very quiet. Quiet is good sometimes. Sometimes it's good to have things which just are more of a feeling than a sound. Then hey, it's just like a... Ooh. Oh, what's going on there? There we go. Right, so this is a preset splurge, so I've got to go with the first sound that I find. I can guarantee you this is not the sound I would have chosen. So let's see what happens. Okay, let's go with that. Marius, hello. Okay. Bear in mind, this is a splurge, so the point of the splurge isn't to find something that... Oh, why does it keep doing that? Ugh! I'm sure I didn't press that just now. Anyway, the point of the splurge isn't to produce something that you like, it's just to make something, anything, okay? So just FYI, I'm not like jumping, I'm not, no, my heart isn't leaping with joy with what is coming out here, but that's not the point of a splurge. I do like, how many splurges have I done? I don't know. I kind of fairly regularly, every quarter or so, we'll do 100 splurges in like a week or 10 days or something like that. And obviously, when you do splurging like that, you're not gonna, you know, you're only gonna use a very small portion of the things that you make. So in that context, it just does not matter. Part of this is about the practice. In fact, a huge part of it is about the practice of splurging. Oh man. Okay, so it's a preset splurge. So well, what am I going to do with this? What a strange sound. Okay. You see, I would never choose a sound like that in this context because there's already quite a bit going on around here, right? But this is the point of the preset splurge, is that it's forcing me to train my creativity. Because if you have a problem, right? So the problem is I have a sound that I wouldn't choose in this situation usually. Yeah, that I'm not particularly loving. I mean, it would work in other things. I may choose it in other, but in this situation, it's not the sound. You are not the sound I'm looking for. Please move along. Right? Is what you would usually do. But in a preset splurge, the point of it is that it's forcing you to use your creativity. Creativity is what you use when you have a problem to solve it. Right? So that's why this preset splurge is here. It isn't actually. It doesn't matter to me if this splurge ends up being rubbish, because I have spent the time practicing using my creativity. Yeah, no matter what happens at the end of it. Yeah. I'll do. Alright, okay. It's weird. It was doing something before. I'm going to literally spend 1 minute seeing if I can just do this, and if I can't, right, here we go. Keep me honest. And if I can't, I'm just going to move on. Just want to make it a bit more present. That's what I'm trying to do. Okay, that's done. Okay. Job done. Did it in 25 seconds. Brilliant. So. Okay. Sounding like a big foggy mess. Anyway, never mind. Keep going. And what I'm actually going to do, so while there's the 5 players preset thing, the 5 players going on, what I'm hearing, because again, the rules are to a certain extent starting points. What I'm hearing is something pad like? Now I'm slightly breaking the rule here in that I've picked, there's 351 pads here, so I am choosing the type of sound. Okay, so I'm slightly breaking my preset rule here, but not completely, because I'm going to go with the first pad I randomly just choose, so fingers crossed. Alright. Oh, what happened there? I'm actually going to record that, actually, I think. I know what I'm doing. Alright. I don't want to make the splurge too long. So once I've recorded the DFAM in, this will be a wrap. Right. Okay. I think what needs to happen, oh dear, is that basically this needs to kind of break down. So what's that? That's the rubbish thing. Maybe that needs to stop there. So basically my next steps are to, I'm just visually arranging this while I've got it in my head. I can't remember what that is. What is that? Can't even remember what it is. Oh, okay. God, I don't know. It's a yeah. So that basically the thing that's making it sound like that is it's not diminished seventh. It's the augmented fourth or diminished fifth. Now, officially, those are two different things, but like that's if you want to be like music theory, it's the same note, right? So if I'm in A minor, can you see that here? Yeah. So if I'm in A minor, oh no, I better not move that around, otherwise I'm going to cause everything to fall down. Sorry about that. I'll try and sort it out so that I can actually show these things. So if I'm in A, that's an A there. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 In fact, I'll do it so you can hear. Let's do it with the piano. So if I'm in A, which is what we're in, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 up, which is a augmented fourth, or if you're going down, or a diminished fifth, right? Because that's the fourth. A D is the fourth, and the augmented fourth is that, or a fifth, a diminished fifth. Right. So what I'm doing is an A, which is the tonic, the root note, the minor seventh, which is a G, which is one tone down, yeah, and then a E, which is the dominant or the fifth note of the chord. So we've got, and then the thing that makes it sound all A is this, which is the, and did you know, fun fact, that this chord, this what's it called, interval, was actually heretical. It was banned by church because they thought it was the devil, basically. So yes, so we're currently in, you know, very, very dangerous territory. I ought to be burned for doing this, but essentially, I mean, it's the blues scale. Okay, so if you want to make things sound woo, go find the tonic and go 6 semitones up or 6 semitones down. Okay. What am I doing? Little music theory lesson there. But I mean, honestly, you could have figured that out by just using your ears. Yeah, you didn't need to know everything that I just told you there. You could just find it's very, very simple what I'm doing. It's just like, it's not rocket science. Yeah. So just remember that you don't need to know all this. It's like saying, do you need to know a noun and a verb is in order to be able to speak? No, you don't. Okay, that's the important thing. So what am I doing? Oh yes, I was arranging the thing. Okay, so when I say arranging, visually arranging the thing. So I'm going to take out the, so everything comes in there. I'm going to take out the kick there. I'm going to leave that playing there. And bear in mind, this isn't going to be like if I end up taking this forward, this isn't going to be the arrangement that I use in the future. This is simply something for me to go, okay, so what does future Mike want to listen to in the future? Okay, what does future Mike want to listen to in the future? What combinations of things would future Mike appreciate hearing? So, yes, the theory context is interesting. The only problem with it is that it can really it can actually hold you back if you get too obsessed by it, unless you really want to learn theory. Yeah, it's like the theoretical stuff is useful, but I think the thing I worry about with people who haven't got the musical theory training is that they think it's a solution, and it's not the solution they think it is. It is a form of solution, but it's the end result of learning the theory isn't going to result in what they expect. In some ways, learning the theory can actually be a double-edged sword, because you kind of end up getting tied into it. Like the first thing, if I was, in fact I am, like with my kids, I'm helping them make music now. If I was starting somebody off from ground zero in terms of making music, I would get them to be using their ears and them saying, is that good? I'm like, what do you think it's good? Is this correct? I don't know, does it sound good? Right. So you know, for instance, I don't have like a musical theory training to the level of like a classical composer, but not by any stretch of the imagination. but I do have a fair amount of musical theory knowledge. But I still find it equally as challenging to make music. I can't think of an idea in my head and then just play it. Like that's not what you'll get from music theory. Do you know what I mean? This just doesn't work like that. In fact, in many ways, I just end up getting kind of stuck on the things that I do know theoretically. And if I was able to let that go, or if I never had that musical theory, then I would be forced to be using my ears. And that is actually a great thing. It's a great kind of benefit of not having musical theory training. So it's one of those weird things where there are upsides and downsides to it. Yeah, I mean, it's a framework to remember. See, I'm not sure, but it's a framework to remember things. I don't think I need to remember things. I need to be able to play things. Like all of the stuff that you want to do with theory, what I would suggest you do is just play. Like, literally just play and practice playing, to a beat, and just trying stuff out and continually, and just like making melodies by picking them out with your ears and thinking, is that good, or and just playing playing stuff. I don't think remembering things is exactly what. I just keep on playing the same things, I just over and over again, partly because of the kind of, this is the kind of stuff I always play, and it kind of, but me playing it also, it doesn't come from theory training exactly. It comes from me actually playing the piano. Sort of doing Mozart sonatas, that kind of thing. So it's almost like, you don't necessarily need the theory in order to be able to play even. So it's just this idea that theory is the solution to your problems is what I would be careful of. Use your ears first, I think, is what I'm trying to say. Anyway, coming back to this. I think that's all right. I kind of want it to end like that, and then just come in with the. When I say I want it to, what I mean is this is what I would want to hear, and then ending there. Okay. And then, and by the way, Morteza, I will come to your question in a second. It's just like it's the question that you were asking was not related to what we're doing here, so I'll come to it at the end, okay? And I want to kind of just go off on one about just random questions. The theory question came out of what we were talking about here, which is why I answered that one. Okay, otherwise I just end up going round in circles, never getting anywhere. So let's go. Alright, so let's do that quite like that. Starting there. And let's record that. Yes. So Charles, theory is a hot potato amongst hobbyists. I've noticed it's a kind of it's an unfortunate kind of. It's not really an obsession, but it's like, oh no, I don't know music theory, therefore I can't. Is the idea? Yeah. It's like my children can speak English at varying levels because the youngest is 2 and the oldest is 9, right? Like, I'm pretty sure that my 4-year-old doesn't know grammar. He doesn't know the rules of grammar, but he can speak. Music is the same as that. Yeah, it's not that grammar doesn't help you speak more. Well, maybe write more clearly. I'm not sure that it helps particularly with speaking, right? But it kind of can help you, but it's not in the way that you think it is. And it's the same with music theory. That's the best kind of analogy that I can think of with music theory, and it's just a bit of a hobby horse of mine because I keep on having people. Oh, I can't. I don't know music theory, so that means that I can't do this. And it's like, well, I'm not sure about that. It's not. Music theory isn't the thing that you're lacking. That's the point. Yeah, it's not. It might be something else, because obviously you can go down a whole rabbit hole of learning something and still end up in not the same, but a similar with similar problems. So that's why I keep on going on about it. Okay, so I'm going to leave the splurge at that, and what I'm going to answer Morteza's question now. So Morteza asks, let's say I want to work on my previous splurge done 3 days ago. After doing some changes, should I wait for another 3 to 7 days before listening to it? Yes. In the automatic music machine you would, because we are working on multiple tracks at the same time. Okay, so ideally yes. I mean, obviously there are certain situations in which that's not. Say you got a deadline of tomorrow and you've got a load of work to do on the track, well then you've got no choice. But the general purpose of the distance from the session is that you are able to be kind of less attached to it, more objective about it. Clocked calendar time. So time when you're not working on something is an opportunity to become more objective about the piece of music that you're working on. This is less important if you're in a collaboration or you're working with somebody else, because you've got this different perspective that you can gain. The trouble is with pounding every single track that you make into submission and only working on that track for the entire period of time, just going is that you just lose all objectivity, just necessarily, but like literally by definition you are losing objectivity because you're only in the process throughout, so you're not kind of exiting it. So getting the distance between the you in the session and you as a listener, and this is why we listen to the audio, right, rather than the DAW file where you're listening with your eyes, and as you might have noticed, your eyes aren't so good at hearing. So by listening to the audio days after the actual session, everything becomes a lot clearer. So that's why in the automatic music machine we're working on multiple tracks at the same time, which is why actually we need a system like the automatic music machine. Otherwise it gets way too overwhelming to do that. Before I'd developed the system, it was almost like, and actually before electronic, you could kind of save a lot of things in electronic music or record things to sort of audio easily. This wasn't available to us. This option wasn't available to us, but now it is. Even if you're just using hardware, you can still record to audio and have a version of the track as it stands, as it was before, there ready for you. So this is available to us now, and it means that you can actually, as a solo producer, maintain a certain level of objectivity. Obviously you can't be completely objective because you're writing it, so that by definition you're not, but by kind of single-mindedly just going into one track and losing yourself in that track, you just you really are going to end up going around in circles for a lot of the time. It doesn't always happen, but it does a lot of the time, as I'm sure you've noticed. So that's why we leave time between actually working on the track and listening to the track. So I hope that's helped you out. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to fulfill the final rules of this splurge. and I'm going to call it theory ain't the answer necessarily. One of the things that really winds me up about the internet is there seems to be this thing, and I'm not talking about anybody who's commented or anything like that, right? But there seems to be, I'm just talking in general here, everybody online has been wonderful. So, but just in general, there seems to be this thing that if you say something that is like nuanced in some way, people will just take the very most extreme version of what you've just said and go, but you just said that no one should ever learn music theory and it's a complete waste of time, Mike. I said, no, that's not what I said at all. Right? So I've got to be very careful about what I say and be very clear that I'm not saying that learning music theory is an absolute waste of time and no one should ever do it. That is not what I'm saying at all. What I'm saying is that often I've noticed in coaching an enormous amount of people, they assume that learning music theory is going to do something for them, which it doesn't actually do. And that's about it, really. And in the context where you've got multiple different things to, multiple skills to improve, my only question is the music theory the one that you want to be learning right now? It could be, depending on the kind of musician you want to be, depending on what your interests are, depending on what your curiosity is, but it might not be the one that is going to have the biggest impact on your music right now. Anyway, I'm going to stop going on about that. It's just, as you can probably tell, it's been a bit of a subject over the years that I've had to contend with. So there we go. So now I've bounced the audio. I've got to empty this Splurge folder. I have actually listened to a few of these since I've been doing them. So that is my first Splurge of the Leap 5, of my Leap 5 class. I will try and do as many of the exercises live as possible. I'll also be doing them not live as well. Sometimes I've just got to fit them in, and I might even actually start to do some unscheduled live streams that aren't actually in my schedule, but I will maintain at least one kind of scheduled stream in there. As soon as I know when the next live stream is coming, I will put it in there. Otherwise, just stay subscribed to the channel. If you come and you watch a few, I'm sure YouTube will tell you if you're online. So I've got to go and do a quarterly review with one of my masterminders now. So I better get off and prepare for that. So I'm going to have to go. So producers, can you ask this question on a future live stream by any chance? Because I don't understand it, because you might have missed types. Okay, it says, how do you love the files when you move the Trello card to a different list from Splurge to Draft? Well, you just move them into a different folder. I think if I understand the question, yeah. So essentially, you're moving them into another folder. So that's about it, basically. If you are doing the Leap currently, I don't know whether you are or not, if you're doing the Leap currently, then don't move them at this point, because we're not there yet, right? But if you're not, you'd have them moving to a different folder. So anyway, that's it for now. I will be back with another live stream as soon as possible. I'm not exactly sure when that is. I've got a bit of a crazy schedule at the moment. But until next time, happy splurging, and, of course, onwards and upwards.